Well, hello, USPCA chefs. Good to see you all this afternoon and welcome. It's an exciting time for us to get together and talk a little bit more about artificial intelligence in the personal chef world and some of the things that our dear friend and personal chef, Vedam Clementi, is doing extremely well in his business. So we're excited to have him here. We're certainly excited to see him today and really thank him for sharing with us the work that he's doing. So, Vedam, we're going to get rolling here. Right now, it looks like we don't have a ton of participants, and that's okay. We're going to do it. We're going to get this thing done. We can always record it. A couple of housekeeping elements. If you have questions, if you look down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see raise hand. Please just raise your hand. That way we know that you've got some questions. I'm going to monitor that for Vedam, and so I'll bring the questions up and make sure I ask him. And again, ask your questions because they're critical to what we're doing. One of the things I wanted to start out with, though, before we get rolling is just, if you're reading anything these days, if you're watching anything on the news, you're hearing all kinds of things about frightening stories about artificial intelligence. Is it going to kill us all? What's it going to do? Is it going to take our jobs? Is it going to eliminate things? Here's where we are, folks. One of the advantages of being older is that you remember a time when there was no internet. You remember a time when there really weren't even personal computers. They used to have personal computers on everybody's desk, and people would laugh about the fact that that would actually happen. Now we're at an iPhone. Pretty much everybody's got a personal computer in their hands, not even on their desks, not even their house. So we talked about things like the Jetsons. We talked about a paperless society. Vedam and I were talking a little while ago. Are we really paperless? I mean, I just got a thing from a friend the other day that I had to sign that I printed out. I signed it. I scanned it. I sent it back to him and he printed out what I had signed. So how paperless are we really going? Bottom line is you're going to hear lots of stories about artificial intelligence. Some of it's designed to scare you. Some of it's designed to build. Bottom line is at this point, it's not going anywhere. Our government's got to figure out, will they regulate it? Will they not regulate it? What does that regulation mean? Will it be at a national level? Will it be at state level? These are all things way out of our control. There are things China's doing, what's called open source, that would allow anybody to come in and do things with AI. There's lots of worries that if they do that here in the U.S., they'll begin to access U.S. information. Doesn't increase the risk of breaches of data. All those things could happen. Look, the most important thing you can do is take advantage of artificial intelligence. Be smart about what you're doing. Recognize that it's not the be-all, end-all. It's convenient. It's easy. It makes your life easier if you do it right. It's all about really, and Vedam, I know you'll talk about this, really good prompts when you're going and talking with AI to get the responses back that you need and the tools that you need. But my bottom line to all of our members is don't be scared. Participate, join in, use artificial intelligence in your businesses. You will save yourselves amount of time. You'll raise the bar of professionalism in your business. And let me give you one great example of that. My wife was working with some clients and she had to create something. They had a rental property. She's in real estate and she was asking for help. And so I went in and using ChatGPT, worked on something that created a really cool little program that does cap rate to figure out rental property revenue and rental property costs. And it was all for a prompt. Actually, it may be up here, but you bear with me. And I think I can show this to people real quick. There it is. So let me come back to our Zoom. So this has nothing to do with, this is all real estate, but it just kind of shows a simple prompt. And this is what it produced. But I can sit here with a little slide and move it back and forth and balance where the market sits today. I can look different pricing scenarios. So if we look at the price of the property, I can change it, change the commission rate. I can go here. I can look at duplex income. You can see how it's all changing. Is it changing for you? Vacancy allowances. She can sit down with a customer and walk through this and then put together a 90-day plan for them as they walk through all of this. I did that with a simple prompt with AI, and that's all it took. And that developed that entire piece for me. It took me all of 3 minutes. She took it to her next staff meeting, and the broker gets so excited he wants to put it up on their website. So pretty cool. Things you can do. But more importantly, it's what can you do as a personal chef? And let me add one last thing before I forget. A lot of things we hear about, AI is going to kill jobs. A personal chef is probably the best position of anybody because AI can't cook at the end of the day. AI can't really create personal relationships with your customers. Okay. You're in the catbird seat right now because you have a tool that you can use to build your business as a business and not worry about it competing with you. Trades like being a chef, being a plumber, being an electrician, things that are hands on, AI is going to enhance, but it's not going to replace. So at this point, I'm going to call up our presentation and then I'm going to go off screen and turn this all over to you. There you go.
Great. Great. Well, I want to, again, like Larry said, I want to welcome everybody for being here today. Appreciate your attendance, appreciate your time, appreciate you taking the moment to look back on this presentation on Zoom. And so, what I want to talk about today in session 2, we talked about using AI to elevate your brand. Well, in session 3, we're going to talk about something that is very important to us, and that is time. It has saved me copious amounts of time in putting so many things together. And like Larry says, AI cannot cook for you. Yes, there are restaurants that are coming down the pike where you go in and there's a whole machine building your food, so on and so forth. But the thing that AI cannot give you is your expertise, your taste buds, your talent, your intimacy that you have with your clients. All of that sort of thing is what is so important. And the biggest thing that I have found with AI helping us. So we're going to move into today's topic. Larry, you can move on to slide 3. Okay. So you can keep on going. So last week we talked about what part of your brand you take the time to elevate using AI. How did AI challenge you and your thinking? What surprised you or what still frustrated you? And are there any questions, thoughts, comments, etc.? So we're going to give you plenty of time to talk about that. Larry, go ahead and skip on. So, again, like I said today, we're going to be talking about beyond the burner. And what that means is beyond the stove, beyond the oven. There are so many things that we do as personal chefs. I was kind of surprised that we actually did it, all the administrative work. I feel pretty blessed because in my previous career, there was a lot of administrative work. I was the artistic director of a day spa. I was an educator for Redkin Laboratories. So there was a lot of administrative work that I was already used to doing. And if I would have thought about it, you know, through and through, I would have probably assumed that there would have been administrative work all along in this business as well. There's copious amounts of administrative work. And I don't think anyone in this industry or anyone that is part of the USPCA says, Yay, I love the administrative work. Yeah, I love to sit down and create proposals or create contracts or menu planning or any of that sort of stuff. I don't think many of us would ever say, Yeah, I'm gung ho for all of that. But the administrative work does not make you money, it protects the money you make. And what I mean by that, I don't use AI to run my business for me. I use it as an administrative assistant, a tool that helps me organize my thinking and get to the useful first draft much faster. It creates consistency and overall it saves time and it reduces the mental load because let me stop here. As we're creating all of these protocols with our consultation sheets, our proposal sheets, our contract sheets, there's so much that I have in my mind. And when I'm prompting, I always will tell those things to AI. I'm just going to use that as the example because that is the one that I use the most. And now that it has gotten to know me, it says, hey, What about if you were to X, Y, or Z? Or, hey, don't forget we once talked about so and so and so and so. So it helps identify the missing details and provides a strong starting force or starting place for me to begin. But the thing I want you to remember, you remain the chef, you remain the business owner, and of course, you are the final decision maker. Let's talk about that for a minute. If something in your work can be repeated, it can probably be templated. I personalize the experience, but I don't have to rewrite the whole process. So think about this for a minute. How many of you get the same type of inquiry emails from potential clients and you just have to sit down and you're dredging out on the computer how you want to say, what you want to say, etc.? Yes, you still have to do some of that, but much of it can be done as a template. So, what I mean by that is I give AI the bones. I tell AI about the bones of my business, what I'm trying to portray, what I'm trying to sell, of those sorts of things, and it will then create a template of an answer to an email. I then ask it to remember this, and then sometimes I will even go back to chat and say, okay, we now need to create a response to an inquiry email. Remember what we've talked about in the past. However, here is the question or the email that the client has sent me. Let's create a answer to this. So that being said, the ChatGPT already knows the baseline or template inquiry response. And it also now sees the email that has come to me, and then it addresses all of the issues all at once, joining all of those things together. I think everyone will probably understand exactly what I mean. So, Larry, let's go ahead and move on to slide 8. So, once a year, and this is what started my love for AI. I want to give you a little bit of heads up about how I got started with this. So, a year ago, January, so a year and a half ago, I had severe spinal surgery on my neck. I was out of work for 3 or 4 months. But after I got starting to feel better, I went and I did something that I always do at the beginning of each year. I take my template for my consultation sheet with the client. And let me add to that, I have 2 consultation sheets, one from my personal chef business and then one from the concierge catering business. So I have 2 consultation sheets. I also have a proposal sheet and I also have a contract sheet. And each year I take and I make notes about things that I wish that I would have changed and I add it to that new upcoming template. A year and a half ago, so somewhere around April of 2025, I uploaded all of those things to AI, to chat, and it created complete consultation sheets, proposals, and contracts. So I already have this template already saved on my computer, and I just copied and pasted the information onto my letterhead. So it has the Vee Culinary logo. It has me as the executive chef and owner. And on the other side, it has my business and phone number and email. But then below all of that is all of the information that I need to use for my consultations, because the client, let's face facts, the client gets talking to you and you're typing things down and you may forget about something else. And these consultation forms helps keep me on track. And then I'm just inputting all of the information. The nice thing about this is that at the very top of the consultation sheet is all of the information that I am going to use regarding this client. Has their name, their wife's name or their partner's name, their address, their emails, their cell phones, all of that sort of stuff. Then I can copy and paste that into next the proposal. And we'll talk more about the proposal in a while. But when it comes time for the contract, I then slide that same information from the consultation down into the contract again. So it is saving me all of that time. I'm not having to upload anything to this information. It's helped keeping me clean. So I ask it a prompt. I tell it a prompt, which is review this document from the perspective of an experienced personal chef and a first-time client. Identify anything unclear, incomplete, repetitive, or likely to create different expectations. And I asked ChatGPT to do all of that for me. So let's go ahead and move on, Larry.
Okay, give me a second here. There we are. We're back. I thought, well, this might be fun. Let me see if I can create a pricing sheet for personal chefs like I did with that little cap sheet.
Well, what you said, Larry, this is not part of the program, but it needs to be. And thank you for reminding me, because I have a worksheet that I price out the client's service, whether it be catering or personal chefing. So it gives me in this spreadsheet that my husband helped me create, it gives me the pricing. Well, separate from that, I had ChatGPT create me a pricing for personal chef work as well as concierge catering. And I check my math against its math, and I check to see if I have forgotten anything, if I need to add to anything, if I need whatever. It is, as the slide says, AI becomes the second set of eyes. It looks for missing information, unclear expectations, anything forgotten, repetitive or confusing language. It just helps me to examine it.
I think one of the things just to point out, which is important, is detail, right? The more detail you put into the prompt, and the prompt is where it's like typing in, this is what I want you to do. The more you put in, the more and better you'll get out. And so you want to think through how you write the prompt, read through it 2 or 3 times. In other words, you don't want to just say, create a pricing sheet and think that it's going to open up a little lid and go select, and out comes the pricing sheet. Rather, you've got to put in different parameters. Again, you don't have to put an entire pricing sheet, but this is the profit I want to make. These are the kinds of things that I include. These are my types of clients, all the peripherals. And then say, from this, and then you come up with something like I did for my wife, the cap sheet, where you can sit down with the client and you can make adjustments, a little sliding scale, and come back with different things. But I really prefer this. Well, slide the scale. Here's what the price is going to be. So just again, I don't want anybody to think that coming in and just going, it's like a magic trick. It's not. I mean, it takes some thinking through the prompt. So the more detailed you are on the prompt, the better the return you're going to get on the answer.
Absolutely. I'll give a prime example. As many of you know, I'm in the North Georgia mountains. I'm only 70 miles from Atlanta, but it takes 2 hours to get there because of mountain roads. Well, because of death, illness, etc., I had lost mostly all of my personal chef clients. And I was okay with that because I was really focusing on the catering side of my business anyway. Well, lo and behold, this past February, I got a request for a personal chef service in Atlanta. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this where it is pleasant for me to do it, as well as it is a moneymaker for me to do it. And so we looked at my pricing structure. It also compared me to other personal chefs in the United States, in my state as well, and it gave me a pricing structure. Then it said, hey, Vedam, because you are X miles away from this client, are you considering a travel expense? So I thought, no harm, no foul. If this person wants me to cook for them, I'm going to add it in. I'm not going to be worried about fear whether this is going to take it or not. Secondly, it said, hey, you're going to have to run around possibly to 2 or 3 stores, maybe even more. Have you thought about a shopping fee? A business developer had once mentioned to me before doing the same thing, but I had never added it in. So I decided no harm, no foul. I'm going to add it in. Then the processing of the credit card fees, all of that. We added all that stuff in. And I wrote that in as the proposal. We didn't talk about any of this during the consultation. I just said, I'll take this information to the client and I'll get back to you. I sent it all in to him, not concerned whether he was going to take it or not. Lo and behold, when he answered me back, he said, yes, I want you once a week. I may even want you twice a week. Are you willing to do this? And I said, absolutely. Well, I've been doing him now since March, once a week, and he has been the most pleasant, grateful, thankful client. And this past time, he asked me to start adding in breakfast foods and snacks and that sort of thing. And he looked back at the contract, and the contract stated the type of service I was be willing to do. And he was already knowing, because of the contract formality of it, he knew that it was going to be an added cost to that. And I'm like, great, let's go for it. So as Larry's saying, yes, let AI work for you. Okay, let's go on and move into slide 12. So yeah, I've pretty much already stated all of this information on this slide. I just use AI to create my experience, but it helped me refine how I use it. So you have to tell AI what your business is, as well as how you want it to help you. So let's go on, proceed.
You upload your original business document or process. Engines, whether it's Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, whichever you use, have the ability to actually upload a document and it can read it, right? And so you don't necessarily have to always start from scratch. You may not like your document, but you can say, update this so it reflects 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever those things may be. So I think that's a really critical piece, is to recognize that if you have existing documentation, you can upload it and let it work from there. So again, it saves you a bit of time.
And I want to add to what Larry said. If you have uploaded anything, and anytime you need AI to remember, tell it to remember this information for them to be able to reuse it in the future. Now, do you want to give you one caveat? I've been using the $20 a month of AI. There's free AI, et cetera, et cetera. But because I was using it so much, I decided to go for the $20 a month plan. So that is where I am at. So I've been using this. I guess I started the paid program in July of last year, so almost a year. This last update with ChatGPT, as it started doing things with me and for me, it forgot that it was supposed to remember. So what I did at that point, I was like, hey, you have forgotten that I've asked you to remember this. So sometimes you do have to remind it, just like you would a person. You do have to remind it that it was remembering all along, and it will go back and go from there. So let's go ahead and move on to slide 13, Larry. One thing I want to interject here on all the things before we move into this, if you want any of my consultation sheets, proposal sheets, contracts, anything like that, email me. I'll be happy to send it to you. But I do want you to remember that these samples are provided for educational purposes only and should be adapted to your business and reviewed by any appropriate professional. Okay. That's my caveat, but I do want to share it with you anytime you need it.
But to that point before, right, you can upload them and then have ChatGPT adjusted to your particular business rather than reflect what the chef is doing.
Move on, Larry.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. So this is the one thing that I want to interject here is this program is based upon my business, which is heavily focused on catering. Yours may be on personal chefing, but that you can take the information that I'm sharing with you today and revise it to help you with your business as well. So yes, my client process is the client usually contacts me via email. I respond. Usually they will give me some information about their event or what they're asking for. And I respond I put in their email information into chat. It remembers what my email response is typically. Then it customizes and blends the two together. And it also tells them in that email that I want a text from them. I give them my phone number to schedule a consultation. The reason why I do this is because I don't know if y'all get as many attempts for scams where I don't even know what the scam is really, but I get a lot. And so by them having to text me from a cell phone, and I then set up a time for a consultation. Typically, the consultation is done over the phone. But if it is a personal chef client, I always go to their home. I look at their kitchen. I look at all their pantry. I look at all of this, and I am recording information in my consultation sheet template that we've already created. Then from that point on, I let the client know that they need to send me a deposit for their event. And at that point, they send me the deposit, and I tell them that I will refund if for whatever reason they choose not to use me in their service. I will refund everything back minus $100. And I keep that $100 because that pays me for the time that it takes for me to create their proposal. So they sent me the deposit. I create the proposal. And in that proposal is their client selections. And I use ChatGPT to help me write each and every food description that I put in their proposal. So the proposal not only gives them the name of the dish, but it gives them a complete description of their foods they're choosing. At that point, when they come back and tell me, yes, I want to book you, I take their selections and I go back to their original proposal, and I then change the color of the font to green on the selections that they have chosen. I then take those selections and I create their final contract.
but I'll get you back to the slides now. Here
Perfect.
we go.
All right. You can go ahead and move on.
There you go.
So just to recap some of the things that I've said earlier, the consultation sheet becomes the foundation of everything that I use, whether it be for an event or a personal chef service. The other cool thing that chat helped me to create, which I love, 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 is, as you know, I only gluten-free food. And with that, many clients see that I do only gluten-free food, so they assume that I am able to also offer other substitutions such as dairy-free or any other allergen. And I always, or 9 times out of 10, I will honor that. That being said, I have priced myself at a higher rate than many. And what I asked ChatGPT to do is help me create a sheet entitled Why Choose Vee Culinary? So, because ChatGPT had been working with me, it created a one-page sheet that told the client why they should choose Vee Culinary and the benefits that they would have by choosing Vee Culinary. That sheet goes on to, it is part of the template of every proposal as well as every contract. That way it reminds them of um, why they should choose me. Let me back up. Sorry. With the proposal also tells them what they can expect from me as well as what I expect from them. And you may wonder, what do I expect from them? And that is, I expect the kitchen to be clean when I enter the premises. And if it is not clean, then I will have to clean it. And the charge that the client is going to have accrued onto their bill because I am choosing and because I'm having to clean their kitchen. So, and I also want refrigeration space. So it it not only tells the client why they're choosing me, but the benefits that they're going to receive from me, as well as what I expect from them in return. So you can go ahead and move forward. Now, let's talk about something that many of you, I assume, if it's happened to me, it's probably happened to you. They come back after the proposal, and in the proposal, it tells them that this is their final um, selection. And if they have changes, then the changes have to be in by X number of days. They will come back to me and say, hey, can we add on another appetizer? Can we include several more guests? Can you stay a little bit longer? Or could you provide breakfast for us the next morning? What about alcohol, decorations, tablescapes, all of that sort of thing? And if that occurs, I never answer them immediately back, but I've I look at what their request is, and I already have an idea of what it's going to cost them. But I also put this into chat, and it gives me a response. It gives me a response that is very professional. For example, yes, we'll be happy to add in another appetizer. However, know that it will cost you X number of dollars if you choose to do it. It really gives you a very professional tone to your answer whether you can or cannot do it. So it becomes your assistant once again in how it's going to answer this client. Larry, you can go ahead and move on to the next. So, like I said, I take this request back to AI, and when the client changes the request, look at the original scope, the client's new request, what my policies and availability that I've already stated to them. And then AI identifies the possible changes. What it is it going, is it going to be a lot more grocery shopping? Is it going to be a lot more preparation? Is it going to create more staffing or equipment needs? And it helps determine the price. And then final, it helps me draft a response that is warm, firm, clear, no apologies, and very professional. So AI helps identify the impact, but you decide whether it is doable and what it will cost. Ultimately, it is up to you. Go ahead, Larry. So let's talk about pricing for a minute. Many of us in this industry undersell our worth. We undersell our time and we undersell our ability to accommodate them. And we undersell our talent because it's an art for us. And we don't really know how to take something that we love or take something that is a piece of art and then put a dollar amount to it. And AI will help challenge your assumptions. It helps me to review food and specialty ingredients. And in my world, that is very much included because in many situations, we only really have 3 grocery stores in a 2-county radius. So there has to be things like that I'm ordering from Amazon, specialty ingredients that I cannot get in my grocery store. Will it get here in time, et cetera, et cetera? And I need to take all of that shopping and all of that preparation, as well as the service time, extra assistance. Am I going to need any additional staffing? All of those sorts of things. And it helps me create um, a new pricing structure that I can give the client that is unapologetic and it is firm and it is very professional. Now, excuse me, when you are doing this sort of thing, there's a prompt at the end of the slide. Review this event scope and my pricing worksheet. Identify any cost, labor, time, risks, or profit considerations I may have overlooked. Do not invent market rates. If you provide market comparisons, use the current sources, cite them, and explain whether the services are genuinely comparable. So, again, AI can only do what you ask it to do. And in regards to that, AI is designed to be your yes man. In other words, if you say something, yes, that can be done. Yes, this is why you can do it. Yes, yes, yes. But if you get chat to review, tell it what you need it to do for you. Just don't ask, can this be done? You want to look at all of the logistics, not only about doing it, but what is it going to cost? What the time is it going to take? And let's face facts, all of those things add up and you are worth it. Larry, do you have anything you want to say on that slide?
I think you said it all, but I mean, it really comes down to allowing it to be that almost like your right hand, right? It's in your ear, being able to explain everything you need to do. By the way, I think as you take a look, it's challenging your assumptions. You review those things. You can also ask it if you're missing anything, because as you build more and more, and it can go out, it can look into the broader population of personal chefs and get an idea of, have I missed something? and how I'm pricing and what I'm preparing and my proposal. So I think you've got it there. Review the event scope and pricing worksheet, identify costs. You can see the depth of your prompt. But I don't think we want to forget, too, that it can even go deeper than that and tell you about things you might have perhaps missed.
Yes, I agree. So I want to tell you about a recent event that I had. It was to date the largest event that I had been asked to do for a client. It was not the most people, but it was the highest dollar amount that I had ever written on a proposal. And the reason it was because she was asking for a total of, it was somewhere between 16 and 20 appetizers, 50 people. And I don't know how many of you play around with appetizers, but appetizers in my world take longer than actual putting together a meal for someone. For example, a crostini or a bruschetta. In the gluten-free world, I cannot go and start with a good loaf of already baked bread. I have to start with making my flour, making the baguette, baking the baguette, toasting the baguette, and then getting it ready. And then sometimes there's a underlayment of some sort of cream or sauce or cheese, and then a topper, and then possibly even another topper on top of that. So this was, like I said, the biggest event I had coming up. I had a support staff of 3 for 50 people. And I was also asked to be in charge of the tablescape, the display of the food. And I am a big old gay boy who loves drama. And so the tablescape has to be exquisite. So I knew that I was going to be very busy, and I had all of these preliminary steps put into place for my food. Everything was preliminarily done. All they had to do was some of the stuff was warmed up and then plated, et cetera, et cetera. But I knew that I wasn't going to be around. So I got thinking about this thing and I thought, well, chat can help me with this. So what I asked chat to do, I put in the dish name plus my description, and I asked to generate images of what the finished dish was to look like. I was shocked at what it did. Out of those, let's say it was 20, it was somewhere between 16 and 20. Out of those 20 appetizers, I only had to correct what the image that AI had generated for me like 3 or 4 times. I mean, it knew my style of photography that I liked. It knew everything. So it was able to create these images. Lo and behold, I sent those images to each assistant's cell phone, and I told them, this is what the finished dish is to look like. That way they didn't have to come bother me. Does this look like you wanted it to look? Or me stop what I was doing, and et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to go over um, some of those images, because AI helped me delegate the execution without surrendering the creative vision. Let's go ahead and skip forward, Larry. All right. So this was gluten-free ahi tuna avocado tartare bites. So you can see that at the bottom of the image was the description that we had created. This is how we had sold this dish to the client. And this is what they were expecting it to taste like, look like, etc. And I did not have to stop one moment and say, this is to the assistants, this is how I want this plated. And lo and behold, it was done. Larry, you can skip forward. This was the next. These were sirloin bites with creamy horseradish sauce, also served in little Asian spoons. Really can do so much if you just think about all the things that you need in your business, or think about what could take my business to the next level. And once you've asked that question, then you can also ask ChatGPT or any AI to help you get there. Larry, let's go ahead and skip on through. So here was the crab cake appetizer. So you see the description, and then this is the finished product of the appetizer that was given to the clients as it went out that evening. Larry, you can skip on.
This is making me hungry.
Good. This is another one. These were gluten-free crackers with an herb cream cheese, with a grilled shrimp, with a pepper jelly on top of that. So, I mean, this appetizer alone is 4 steps before it gets to the actual party. So I had to order these crackers because these crackers are not available in my grocery store. So I had to order them. Then I had to get the cream cheese and make the herb cream cheese. And then I had to do the shrimp. And then I also had to do the pepper jelly. And so everything was ready to rock and roll, and the assistants do exactly what I wanted it to look like. So now you can move forward, Larry.
There we go.
All right. So as I start to wrap up this session, this week's AI challenge is I want you to choose one repeated administrative task that you do all the time, whether it be email, whether it be a proposal, a consultation, a contract, whatever it is. And just start with one. Give AI your current document. So that means upload it to AI. Ask what is missing, what is unclear, or what is repetitive. Ask it to review and refine its suggestions, and then create one reusable template and track how much time it saves you. The goal is not to use AI everywhere. The goal is start to use it where repetition is stealing your time.
Amen.
Move forward, Larry. So I challenge you to start using AI and reclaim your weekend. So this past Sunday, the personal chef client, I usually try to get him 2 weeks ahead. But with so much heat in Atlanta, he didn't feel like eating some of the food that he had once decided or said he was going to do. So I was fine with that. But typically on a Sunday night, I am having to look through his menu, put it in the modern meal, then put together a logistic sheet of what needs to be done the day of the cook day. And all of that typically takes me about 4.5 hours start to finish. And I was able to do this this past Sunday in about 45 minutes to an hour. So it saved me 3 hours of time. So I want you to just reclaim your weekend. AI doesn't remove the human touch. That is important for you to remember. It's ultimately you that has to look at it and get AI to speak in your tone, in your voice, all of those sorts of things. And it removes unnecessary repetition. So AI can help you work smarter, protect your business, and reclaim your weekends. We haven't set a date yet, but the next session is going to be business systems for personal chefs.
That would be a fun
So
one.
that's what we're going to do. And we've got 2 more in this series, and they are all on YouTube. I've seen them.
Mhm.
You can refer back to them. Larry will put this on YouTube in a couple days on his end. And so, and guys, if you have any questions, email me. My phone number is 678-754-2438. I'm happy to help you guys. This isn't about reinventing the whole wheel. Let's work it smarter and make it easier for you to accomplish.
But and to that point, Vedam, which is critical, we don't want people to forget they can reach out to us at any point in time. So I had a few people write to me in the last couple of days and saying, "Gosh, we thought we were going to be there, but we can't." And I said, "It's going to be up on our YouTube channel." Sent them the link to the YouTube channel and said, "Be there." To your point, it just takes me a day or so to wait for this thing to get uploaded and then send it over. By the way, talk about AI. We have a little magic thing with the software program I use for editing, and it's so easy now. It's got an AI component to it that actually automatically takes out the and the likes and things that we
And I said
unconsciously,
that
and it's just interesting how it can kind of clean up some of the things you can do. Again, and I think the other piece too is remind people if they're watching live or if they're watching on video later, is that you can reach out to us anytime. You just gave your information. I'm L Lynch at USPCA.com, 1-800-995-2138, and we can be reached as well. So we're here to help.
absolutely, we're here to help. We can't help you if you don't reach out to us. So we're happy to do it.
Exactly. All right. Well, if that's the case, I think we'll kick out for today, and then we'll see who we get the next time around.
Thank you.
My thanks to you. You take care.
Ciao.
Ciao, everybody.